Second wave sadness.
I got my second wave sadness.
Well, how's this song going?
Like that.
Second wave.
I've got my second wave sadness.
second
I got
wave,
my second wave sadness. Yeah, it starts with from before you go. Second wave sadness. I start way too low. I just want you to know, the baby, we're all sad. I got that second wave sadness. I got my second wave sadness. I got that second wave sadness.
Hello and welcome back to Boys Gone Wild. I'm back. I was away. Still released an episode though, because that's how committed I am to the cause of Boys Gone Wild. Consistently releasing episodes. Consistently doing it. That's how you grow an audience. And we are growing. As at the time of speaking, we are one subscriber away from 500 subs. I feel that's a real milestone. Only 8 patrons though. And admittedly, we haven't been the best at keeping up with our Patreon content. That's going to change today. We're going to have a spicy new piece of content on Patreon. And I think you should subscribe to it so I get money. Even if you look at the Patreon and you're like, I don't know how much I'm getting from this, you're supporting the podcast because it's tough times out here. It's unknown times. So I know I have a lot of city bankers who listen to this podcast. We're kind of big in the 1% class. This is sort of like a way that rich oligarchs often use this podcast to unwind. So if you're listening, please donate to the Patreon. I'm back from Cornwall and coming back to London from a kind of a magical trip away to what felt like the end of the world. I came back to what felt even more like the end of the world. In London, the air hung thick, the mood was low, and I'm the first to put my hands up to say it infected me. Even the strongest can fall. So this is a men's mental and physical health podcast. So I've got no one better than the ever miserable Andrew Cohen to talk about feelings. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, tired, man.
Yeah?
Yeah. I feel the air as well. I think it's this combination of the second wave of COVID. Winter has started. Mm-hmm. Let's not underappreciate that factor. Yeah. It's flipping cold.
Seasonal depression, COVID, and then just general chemicals.
It's when it gets fucking dark.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
But why does it always take us by surprise? I'm never ready for it.
Never am I.
Never.
Never
I've done this a lot.
Yeah.
I've got this shit on lock.
Because I think you just... it's this... When it's summer, you feel like this endless time of joy. That it's never going to end.
Yeah.
But then we forget every time that winter is around the corner, ready to slap you on the bum.
So I don't hate the British weather as much as most people. Like, I like seasons. I think if I lived in, let's say, I don't know, California, maybe the City of Angels.
Yeah.
That's Los Angeles. San Diego.
Sure.
List a few more cities.
What, on the coast of America?
Just with
San Francisco,
that's not hot enough.
No, it's
so
not
we're just going to list Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
Mexico City.
Texas, Houston. Is that hot?
Yeah, that's hot.
Yeah,
that's hot all year round.
Yeah. Arkansas.
Let's just do 26 more. No, because if I was in one of those places, I would miss the seasons. I like the change. I think it's good for the soul, seeing the leaves start to brown. I love the first 2 weeks of autumn normally. And also the British summer is an amazing thing because
you can have too much of a good thing.
And everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Like, it's always summer in LA and that side, so it's like there's not a summer vibe.
Yeah,
I mean, it has its positives, but I like that feeling that when the sun comes out, there's a real change in attitude and there's a real uplift.
Yeah.
So I like the British weather if the winter was 2 months. That's how long I want.
Okay.
I think the perfect thing...
How long is the winter?
I would argue what I view as winter is from now, because this is what I view in my head as winter when it gets cold till March, which is like 6 months.
That's very depressing.
That's why it's depressing. Is that past the first 2 weeks of autumn, where it's like, you know, white girls keeping it cute, pumpkin spice lattes, vibes, brown leaves. You can finally get your first warm coat on, see what the full season's looking like fashion-wise, excitement.
Yeah.
Then the latter part of autumn is when it starts dawning on you that it's a long time till the sun comes back.
Yeah.
January and February are the bleakest because December you've got Christmas, and then March is when spring starts and it starts picking up.
That's very interesting news for me, because I think I've told you before that I am. It goes into my inabilities to handle time.
Yeah, you have no conception of. You can't visualize time.
I couldn't. There was for a long period of time I wasn't confident in which season came after the other. As in until maybe a couple of years ago.
But you're not stupid. You're a smart boy.
Not with time.
It's just it's sloppy. It's sloppiness.
Well, it just doesn't go into my brain. Like, as in, people get incredibly frustrated at me because I'm not like, I've now recently learned when Halloween is, because I've drilled that into my head. 31st of October.
Bang.
I don't know when Valentine's Day is.
Really?
Yeah, I promise you I don't.
Take a stab.
I'd say it's in March.
Fucking hell.
February.
Yeah.
Okay, February the 14th?
Yeah.
Okay, shit.
Yeah, that
was pretty good. But genuinely, March is my first go-to.
Okay.
If you want, I'm like, other than the classic holidays, I've had to like put this into my brain. It just doesn't go in. And it's the same like the ordering of the seasons. I couldn't tell you which fucking months they come.
Yeah.
Not a clue. I just see it outside. I was like, oh, I guess it's winter or autumn now. Yeah. Winter's quite clear. But autumn and spring, they're not clear enough.
Because what's interesting about you is that you've studied history, political history. That's sort of what you've chosen to study in. And like, you understand like brief moments of history with immense detail. You understand theories, you understand ideas, but you have absolutely no concept in when time happens. Like the basic thing of history is understanding what happened and in what order. Yeah. And you like
no
idea. You can
not a clue.
Clearly explain Marxism. You can talk about like social context and stuff like that, but you have no idea when it was happening. You don't know what was happening in Africa at that point. You have no idea.
I'm not the foggiest. Not the foggiest. I'm not the biggest, grandest thinker in time perspectives. Because I was sort of the history A level I did was very demanding. But all I did for revision was I just put dates up on my wall and I just had to look at them every day to try and give some sort of meaning to my head.
Yeah. So here's a little fun bit of history. I'll see how this treats you. Does this surprise you?
Okay.
We are closer now to the birth of Jesus than Jesus was to the building of the pyramids.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
But then that's probably because
no.
I never had it, because nothing can surprise me when you don't know anything. Fuck knows. I've heard it a few times. Yeah. I've encountered it as you do studying fucking history.
Yeah.
But it just goes in one ear, out the other. Every time.
Do you know when the pyramids were made?
I'd say like when we go into ancient history, that is the deepest water I have on the planet. Not a fucking clue.
But you don't even give a fuck about like you genuinely like history from like 1900s onwards.
Yeah, I did history and politics, so I'm more of the recent history that then leads into how that affects our politics.
Kind of wild.
It's odd, but no, I think back to the seasons and the winter. I think this combination it's this dark. Like even now, it's miserable.
Gloomy. Yeah.
It's miserable outside. And that is a big factor because I'm waking up at 6 a.m. every day as it's happening. And it is so cold. It is unbelievably cold at 5:45 in the morning. My door doesn't shut properly as well.
The one leading outdoor?
The one leading outside. So I have this constant stream of cold air coming in. So I do the first 4 hours of work in bed because I can't physically get out of bed. Yeah. Which is never good for any kind of mental health, I guess.
And you've got a relentless schedule.
Yeah.
But do you think the weather's so bad that you'd want to move?
Oh, I'm getting quite angsty actually. I've got 20 days of unpaid holiday in my job, and I was sitting in bed watching Anthony Bourdain, he's like a cook who goes around and goes to different countries.
He's a cook. I think that's the best way to describe him. He's a cook.
He's a rock star.
If you don't know who Anthony Bourdain is, he's a cook.
He's a fucking chef. Jesus Christ. He's a chef who also has a travel program and goes around and looks at different countries.
He's a cook who moves around a lot.
Yeah. He's a cook. He gets on a train every now and again, brings his cameras.
He's a cook who has a long commute, is what Anthony Bourdain is.
But He does a very good travel show, transports you to the different cultures of different places. And I was nearly like, can I book off the entire month of November? Unpaid leave, just fucking go somewhere.
Go somewhere wild.
See what happens. Yeah. Didn't do it. Didn't even try to book it off because I can't afford it. But
you can't afford it, it's fair. But do you think you've now...
I want to go away somewhere.
You want to go somewhere
I don't want to move.
So
Bear in mind, I've only just moved to London. So I'm still... Although it's not real London because of COVID. But it's still... I've got a big prang to go somewhere for a month, at least.
I'm feeling that urge as well. And so what I'm thinking right now, off the top of my head, is because I really want to just do... I have kind of always thought about it, but like do something like... I want to go to Brazil and do jiu-jitsu for a month.
Yeah, you floated this with me, actually. Because we were discussing going to Brazil, doing a South America thing. And then I was against this because that takes up 2 weeks of your travelling.
It's true. But it's more... You'd come back in fighting form.
Yeah. For the harsh winters of the UK.
Yeah.
Like December would be nothing if you'd been at a jiu-jitsu camp in Brazil for 2
weeks.
It's
true. So, but I'm more thinking, is the weather... Do you think weather is going to be a problem with you living here?
In the UK?
Yeah, long term.
Well, the thing is, because it's almost like when it's always the worst when it's just coming in. Like by the time it hits December, when it's at its worst, we'll be used to it.
Yeah.
And it will be okay.
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget that there was ever a summer. And then it's just a build up to them being summer.
Like, oh my God!
We've just got to get through this 2 or 3 weeks or a month maybe where it's terrible. And then we'll forget about it.
So this is the tough part.
This is the tough part.
Yeah. And it's just, there's a real... it wasn't this bad last year for sure. I remember being surprised being in London.
But that's with everything else that's happening as well, I think.
But what are your thoughts on the second wave? Do you have any idea what's going on?
No.
Genuinely have no clue.
I mean... Because I remember when I first came to London, we were speaking to Sam, who was on the podcast last week. And Sam Ely. Check out his Twitter. Is he not on anything either?
He's got Twitter, but he's got 100 followers, and he has one Twitter account, which is a fake thing, which he posts on, and he blocks anyone who follows him.
I like his style.
So he posts like daily on this fake grumpy old man, and if anyone follows him, he blocks them immediately. So he's got 0 followers on there.
That's very good.
Yeah.
But when it was almost like the first week we were here, we were sitting in the pub, and he was saying how London isn't that bad, because I was kind of like, everyone expects London to be the cesspit of disease and unhygiene. But
the death rate, at that point, death rate was like one a day.
Yeah, it was either was it the death rate of the people that I think it even was the amount of people that were getting it was 1 a day.
Well, cases, there's been more tests, so you can't really judge cases.
True, but it's so one death a day minimum, which is tiny for a population like London. Yeah. So you just you think, great, chill, it's only going to get better.
Keep it Gucci.
And then, of course, the second wave it was in the back of the mind. But it is just, I'm just bored of it.
Yeah.
As in, I feel like when it first came around, it's kind of new, exciting. It's a different, interesting thing that's happening. Do you know what I mean? It's like, shit, this is a massive world event that's going to go down in history. We're seeing the start of it. I don't mind staying at home for a bit, Do your part, pull your socks up, etc. Just because you can live through this monumental moment in history. But now that it's come, so the monumental bit is gone. I'm just fed up with it. As in, the second wave is just, I don't have that pull up your socks split spirit.
Yeah.
I'm just like, nah, I'm done with it.
I really enjoyed...
We've passed the monumental bit. I'm ready for it to be over now.
I really enjoyed the beginning of lockdown because it felt like there was quite an interesting vibe with people like, learning skills. Everyone was furloughed.
And now they're telling you to the opposite of that.
Now it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do for money. It's pretty fucking
I feel
wild.
Stuck in my job.
Yeah, and the options are, because both of us are I'm doing like creative freelancey stuff, which is fucked. And then you're doing stuff which is, steady pay,
stable,
but fucked.
It was my intention.
I've got no money.
I've got a bit,
and you just,
but I can't move. I'm here forever for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Because
so you're either in work and miserable, or out of work and
miserable. Because my big intention of moving to London was the job I'm doing was only like a stopgap.
Yeah.
Move to London and then do whatever.
Rave it up.
Yeah, rave it up.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of in this position where I have to have this job in order for us to have this house as well. etc. You got to
you
put the
you sound like you're
got to put the
paying
bills
my
on the
rent.
table. Cha-ching.
For us to have this beautiful home.
No, I do often frame it like that. It makes me feel. It makes the job more important. It gets me up in the morning.
You sound like a 50s dad who's like his wife's complaining that he's not home. Don't you like this house?
Yeah.
Do you like this beautiful house we've made?
Look, I have to do this for you and the kids. I mean, the housemates, our friends. But it's because it's when we talk about bodily degradation, it's these 6 a.m.s not fucking sleeping to do that job as well.
Yeah.
To do the job that you didn't expect to be at. It's just like everything's kind of falling apart. I feel like I'm also maintaining the lifestyle that I want to maintain outside of it without.
You're quite
properly.
stubborn with your lifestyle.
Yeah, because I'm not giving that up. I refuse to give that up.
Which is
for anything.
What are you not giving up?
Fun.
A lot of drinking.
A lot of drinking with friends. Going out is now not a thing, but going to the pub, I don't like not going out to the pub.
Sure.
Because I have a deep internal, terrified fear of boredom.
Sure, yeah.
I can't handle
one thing we both have.
Yeah. Oh god, it's that's where I get anxiety from, boredom.
Yeah,
every day.
For sure.
But now, because I refuse to maintain that. I refuse to lose that whilst continuing doing these 6 a.m. fucking shifts.
Yeah.
Everything's just falling apart.
Yeah, because the last couple of days, I come back from holiday in Cornwall, and then I just assume that I'm sort of waiting for my job to set up because we're building a podcast studio in Vauxhall, but the builders keep getting ill, so I'm just sort of waiting, and it doesn't feel like I don't know what the next move is because no one knows. There's no advice to be given because no one knows what the fuck's going on. It's just
the only advice that seems to be given for the creative industry is to stop doing what you're doing.
Stop doing it. Got fucking Rishi Sunak. You know, I had to admit I had a little bit of time for Rishi. You know, because like the Eat Out to Help Out.
You've been listening to too many Weatherspoons out there.
That's true.
Dishy
Rishi. I was like, Eat Out to Help Out. That's exactly that. Encapsulated Eat Out to Help Out is the exact sort of economic things that I like, which is like, as opposed to viewing it as left or right, it's just creative ways of re-energizing the economy, which is in many ways what I think Corbyn, a lot of his ideas were, which is like, as opposed to like austerity, cut. Think of creative ways to stimulate growth, basically, which is kind of what I like. Stuff like that. It doesn't matter if it comes from Tory or Labour. If there's like an exciting new way to like sort of stimulate growth, I'm all for that.
You're a big growth stimulator.
I love stimulating growth.
You love growth.
Unlike you.
I'm not a big fan of growth. I'm not a growth man.
You're scared of growth.
I'm scared, you know.
And me, I stimulate it.
What does growth actually mean?
Just stimulate growth. Don't ask these questions.
I can see you thought it through very thoroughly.
Stimulate it. Where are we growing? Which direction are we growing?
Who cares?
As long as it's stimulating. I want to see a graph and then I'm happy. I don't care if there's homeless people in the street. I don't care if buildings are falling apart. If an old white man is on the news and is pointing at a graph and it's going up, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Then I'm fine.
I guess that's quite an easy.
If a balding white man points at a graph, then I'm like, cool, we're fine. Economy. Great. Then I'm happy. The news.
We're doing it. We're killing it, boys.
Growth stimulate. But then fucking Dishy Rishi, my boy Rish man, has now had this ridiculous thing about telling all creative people to retrain.
It was one of the most astonishing adverts I've seen coming from the government.
So bleak.
It's like, stop having fun, guys.
It's so disrespectful. It's actually.
It is honestly astonishing. It was one of the most shocking things I think I've ever seen come out of the government in terms of advertising campaigns.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And it's like, because there's like a new, the new Tories have sort of sold themselves as what's different from this batch of Tories to, let's say, like the Cameron, centrist, the thick of it sort of Tories, where it was like business as usual, everything's fine. These guys are trying to play themselves as renegade cowboys. We've got Boris Johnson, we've got Rishi Sunak with his big new ideas, we've got Dominic Cummings.
But his small stature.
And this is what I was going to bring up. Rishi Sunak is 3'6".
Look it up.
He is. No, he's 5'6". He's 5'6", and not only is he small, but the reason why you're surprised that he's small is because he's really in proportion, which is really funny. Because like, look at someone like You know the actor Toby Jones?
Yeah.
Like, he looks small.
Yeah, and you can tell he's small. From the camera,
if
if you weren't to Google his height online, you'd know he was a small man.
Toby Jones
But
looks
I
small.
didn't know Rishi was small until you told me.
He's got a tiny, narrow little face. He looks like like when you've got an image and you drag it by the corner and just everything's
perfect. Yeah.
That's why it's so shocking, because he's got this little narrow face.
He's hiding.
Which completely...
What have you got to hide, Rich?
It completely changes the way I view Rishi, because I've always standing behind a podium. He looks...
Yeah.
And now I'm like, when he's coming up with these ideas, Eat Out to Help Out, I just imagine him like,
hello. He's lied to the British public.
He's lied to the British public. So these are all, because Dominic Cummings and Boris Johnson are both small as well. So these are tiddly little Tory cowboys, and like the way they've sold themselves is that we're doing it a different way. You know, Brexit, the whole Dominic Cummings vibe is kind of like, this is the old way of politics. We've got exciting new ideas. But then what I've realised is that they had this rock and roll attitude, but if you read like Dominic Cummings' manifesto and stuff, his view for the world is that we end all creative subjects and we should all do STEM. And it's like they're using the aesthetics of being rock and roll for the least rock and roll things you can possibly think of, which is that we all do science and maths.
I really think he said that.
Yeah, it was good. Well,
our
housemate told me. I didn't read it, but apparently one of his things in his like big long manifesto. If you're a white man writing a manifesto, you're going to shoot up a school is the only reason you should write a manifesto.
Yeah, I agree. That is a terrifying prospect of a world.
Yeah,
and I guess this is the perfect disease and time or pandemic in order to push forward that narrative, that idea that there should be no one that doesn't contribute specifically and directly to the economy and growth, rather than people pursuing careers in the arts.
Yeah, because I think like the main,
which also contribute aggressively to the economy.
The main attraction, I may be a Marxist. It's really. I really don't. It's really because if you say that, then there's loads of connotations. But the main thing I like about Marx is
he keeps it real.
He keeps it real. He's got a safe beard. He's just
more than a safe beard.
It's a swanky beard.
It's a cataclysmic beard.
Cataclysmic beard for cataclysmic ideas.
Boom.
The thing that I like most about him is that he's like is the more semi-spiritual stuff, which is like. People, you should use the immense amount of resources we have to organise society so that people can fulfil their purpose and like express their species being and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's the main thing I like about it, more than like everyone has to have the same, or like hating the rich, or like being really suspicious of success, and loads of things that can negative things that I think come out of Marxism, or like people reinterpret it as and this kind of victimization mentality. Loads of things that I don't connect with. The main thing is, can we organize society in a way that people have space to fulfill their purpose, not live a pleasureful life where, you know, we make it's like a libertarian thing where we're all smoking, drinking, we can do whatever the fuck we want. Can we build it so that people are encouraged to find what's meaningful to them?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Because that's something that people often forget or don't realise, is that he doesn't, like, obviously being aggressively anti-capitalist, but a lot of the idea, because it's about the, determinism, or like, so everything, the inevitability of, so feudalism to capitalism, etc. He's saying, take the good things that we've got from capitalism, you know, all this material wealth that we have, distribute it better, so then everyone can then have a better way to pursue their own interests and find something that's meaningful to them. Exactly. Instead of being a slave to a system of which they can't find anything meaningful to them because they're trying to make ends meet.
And also, like, Marx was writing when there was, like, during the Industrial Revolution, and shit's just changed so much. So it's just his general attitude, you've got to change so many ideas.
Yeah.
But this kind of new breed of Tories are the furthest away from that idea I think I've seen in any British government. Like, I don't think even Thatcher had this sort of...
We don't give a fuck if you're happy.
It's not even happy. It's like becoming as efficient, practical tool in a system as possible, so that each individual feels the most powerful cog in the machine possible, like viewing us as that. And I guess it's desperate times, but it was really quite fucking bleak knowing that the government really
they think
just view everything. And I think it also comes from a naive view that, like, they sort of think all the people who are good enough at creativity so they can monetize it will keep on doing that. But the bleak truth of it is that to get Bowie, to get fucking Spielberg, to get like creative behemoths, Jonas Brothers, not Nick.
Not Nick, no. I thought that goes without saying.
2 of the Jonas Brothers. Fuck Nick Jonas.
Kevin and Joe.
Fuck
Nick Jonas. He's useless.
Okay,
he's the real problem. Fuck the Tories, actually. Nick Jonas.
Yeah.
Is the reason for all of the societal ills.
We're going to turn into a bit more of like an LBC style opinions podcast.
Yeah.
And the big one I'd love to be like on LBC. Right. I'm going to keep it topical, what everyone's been talking about this morning. Do we hate Nick Jonas? Do we hate Nick Jonas? Let's get some callers in. And I'd love to be like James O'Brien or Nick Ferrari and just have someone. Well, actually, I think Nick Jonas is probably the most individually talented. Wrong! Fucking idiot! You stupid cunt! Nick Jonas! You disgust me.
Get him off. Get him off the line.
Where's your evidence?
Get him off the line.
Exactly. That's what's so funny about LBC is it's both liberals and conservatives. They're all cunts on that show, including James O'Brien. Fuck James O'Brien. I'm sorry to say it. Fuck James O'Brien because he gets Brexiteers on it who like have never been to uni, who are just like labourers or like, and they're saying like, yeah. So I think like. I kind of like the idea of take back control, and he's like, where's your evidence, where's your like, and asking them for like university grade statistics on an incredibly complex issue that they've done emotionally, and then making them feel like a piece of shit, and then liberals will share it saying owned this fucking dumb, and then Nick Ferrari
it's the illusion of balance. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's just so I kind of got lost. We were saying fuck Nick Jonas,
Tories.
Yeah, but without to get people who are creating all the art entertainment that we all consume on a regular basis, you need shit people.
You need the failures. And that's what this podcast is about.
This is like
to prop up other people.
Being in the arts for like the last 3 years, like the thing is to have the great stand-up comedians, you do need the shit stand-up comedians. You can't have great footballers without grassroots football. You need Sunday league.
You need a big pool.
You need a big pool.
Otherwise, you don't get anyone. It's the same. You've applied the same principle to economics in like a factory. You need a lot of people, then the best rise to the top and become managers, etc., etc. It's the same kind of thing for the arts.
Yeah, it's true. So we should.
But it's more that they just don't value any. If you don't have any value importance to the arts, then the size of the pool is just it could be a bigger pool going into traditional jobs rather than a waste of people or talent that they see it as. Yeah, and like wasting their time.
I don't know. It's just like I find it hard because I'm raising questions of like, what in this difficult time can I get? I have this real feeling that I can't get a normal job, and I just don't really know how much is that me being privileged.
You've always had that feeling.
I've always had that feeling.
Since 12 years old, you said that to me.
No, I have, but I don't know how much. And this goes out to other creatives. So it's like you must be having this feeling as well. It's like I truly feel like it will make me utterly miserable, but I don't know how much that's just because I'm lucky and privileged to have an opportunity where I didn't have to before, like really considered going down those routes, or should I just suck it up and be miserable? And it's like, is it being unbelievably naive and pretentious to try and, you know, make it in a very bleak and like unforgiving, hard to monetize industry? Or should I do what basically Tories all think that if you're creative, why don't you just do it after work as a hobby?
Yeah.
And I just don't.
But that doesn't work.
It just doesn't really
you
work.
Don't generate the art that we were talking about there.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of both. I think for you, Mr. Horatio Gould.
Yeah.
Because part of it is you're in a position where you are fortunate and able to pursue that, and then it's also, I think, as someone that is so passionate about wanting to pursue it, and you're in a situation where you can, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
I think there is part of you that would be, because when I think about you in a normal job, I weep. I think you would be a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
I know that to be true, but then some people don't have the privilege of being a disaster in work in general, but still have to do it.
That's what I mean, and that's where the guilt comes from. It's like, yes, I will feel utterly miserable. Yes, I will be bad at it. Yes, I will be bad for the person who hired me.
Yeah.
But what do people like
What do
me.
you want from me? What do you want from me?
What do people like me
Yeah.
do if they don't have like privilege or like?
Well,
they just get on.
Well, that's the problem. The concept of skill is a very specific one to capitalism. How are you going to make money? I'm not going into capitalism, but people have very different broad range of skills. They might have juggling.
Yeah.
Where's the fucking place for that? That's my big point again.
Yeah, but then the flip side is, yes, this is way too far the other way, but there also is like the other way. I also believe that I'm a big believer in like a certain aspect of hard work and not being a victim and like making your own luck and doing stuff like that to a certain extent. Even though I've had a lot of privilege, I still like have an attitude where I work hard at this and I try and like I don't expect anything from other people. I don't expect to be successful in the arts. I'm not bitter that I'm not. I try and make sure that I am through fair means, I think. So when it's too far is, let's say, juggling. If someone's like, I wish I could monetize my juggling under like an ideal society, would we allow them to monetize the juggling, or are we like, sorry, juggling's too shit? You have to choose something else.
But then that is which is one of the fundamental problems and questions for the utopian society where all the material assets and wealth is distributed in the perfect manner so everyone can pursue their own ideas and their own species being or their own passions.
Yeah.
Is we have to at some point say, sorry, your passion isn't really that good.
So like in my Marxist dream, I do...
Everyone's juggling.
No, it's not. That's what's different. It's
just a society of juggling.
There's space to fulfill your purpose, but some purposes are too shit.
You got to do both. So I think but remember, in this utopian Marxist society, the concept of money doesn't exist.
No, money still exists in my one.
Oh.
So I'm still in the worlds of realism. It's not like some wonderland. I still believe in money. I just think of restructuring to like it's not so far gone that it becomes null and void. I just think we should encourage people to live out their purposes, but there will be enough pressure that you can't just juggle.
But then, okay. So
have you seen people do Diablo and stuff like that?
Yes, incredible.
You can't,
best thing I've ever seen in my life. That's all
do
I
you
watch
know Diablo?
on YouTube.
Those kind of sticks.
We all have
You
them in year
can't
six.
just in my dream society. You can't. The state will not support you just doing that. I'm sorry. That's where I draw that's the compromise I make.
You've gone from one controversial point to another. Think about all the Diabloers out there.
I know that a huge factor of a lot of people who listen to the show wear fedoras and do Diablo in the park.
Absolutely.
I know that's a big thing, but I know you come to me for guidance, and I'm telling you now, drop those sticks and retrain.
Look, you're becoming everything that we hate.
Yeah, I'm just saying that what's funny
is this what happened when you get into government? You come in with all these great ideas, but
No,
as soon
'cause
as
I'm
you're
trying to be
presented with the
realistic.
Diablo problem, you jump
The
ship.
Diablo problem will be known in economics
The
as
Diablo
the Diablo paradox.
How do we allow people to express themselves without doing that?
That's a great thing. The Diablo paradox. Gordon Cohen. We will write a joint
we can do a
paper.
paper.
The joint
Bring it.
paper. The Diablo paradox. How do we allow people to live out their passions when some passions fucking suck ass, man?
I promise you, if I end up doing a PhD,
If you end up doing a PhD, can I co-author with you the Diablo paradox?
I would shake your hand on that right now. That's a great
agreement.
thing. You've
if
seen that
Andrew
here.
does a PhD in economics or some of that fucking shit, we're going to write a paper called the Diablo paradox. And the key
It'll be a
points
tough one to get through the peer review system.
There's a lot of academics do Diablo.
Yeah.
That's the paradox.
It's a Diablo cult in academics. What is it?
Yeah,
What's the
it's
word?
like how the Lacanians took over the fucking psychoanalysis department for a long time. It's like when you speak to people in like psychology departments, they're like fucking Lacanians. They're like
Diabloers, man.
in economics, we've got all these like dominant coming.
That's what they're doing in their free time. That's what happens in like the deep offices of the deep back rooms of Whitehall. They've just got Diablos in that bar in Parliament. There's just Diablo sticks hanging up on the wall. Which one are you going to go for today, Boris? I think I'm going to go for the firecracker. That's a really orange one.
Oh wow.
But bleak times, eh? So why not whip out your Diablo?
No, but now we need to, because I still believe that
in Harvey Dent. Sorry.
I still believe in Harvey Dent. I still believe in him. I still.
Maybe we could have brought it round to something like that. No.
What's the Harvey Dent?
Yeah.
What? Go
Batman?
on. Batman?
No.
You can't.
Harvey Dent,
That's not podcasting.
Preserving the...
Batman? No.
Batman? No, anything of Batman content? No, sorry. Sorry.
The role of art, I still believe, is to hold up a mirror to society, but also give some hope. You know, so we can't
give you something to look forward to in the evening as well. You need it. It's so important.
No. I mean, now with this conversation, we need to provide a positive ending.
Yes.
We've just been talking about how bleak it is, and I'm still very positive. It just feels bleak at the moment. We need to now pull this conversation around so that all my self-harming Diablo fans who are listening to this, give them
with the Diablo.
We've upset them enough by shitting on Diablo. We now need to give them some hope. I'm tempted to call this episode the Diablo Paradox.
The Diablo Paradox is really good. Sorry, let's continue. I had an image that I can't say.
So now let's bring around some hope.
Well, what we said at the beginning of this is that, you know, the point about this period of time is that it's the worst part because we've forgotten how bad winter is, and then we eventually get used to it. So maybe we're no.
You can't make a point of saying no.
Because
Coming over for you with some hope, Andrew. Maybe that the sun. No, because no
that
hope.
was
Back to you in the studio. No hope.
Well, in honesty, when you say try and make a positive spin on it, that I could say it with my words, and I could have believed it. I could have falsely believed it, but I just don't.
The key thing with this podcast is we're trying to genuinely. Not enough people. In comedy, I think, talk about how they actually feel, and I'm trying to
and
get.
We feel sad.
Which is no, not even that. Not even that. I hate the idea that sometimes in winter you're just gonna feel shit. I do believe that if stand up was back, if I had a stable job, I think I could easily deal with the seasons. I think it's way more.
Yeah.
I can't live with the idea that just the change of the seasons is just the way I feel. It needs to be in my control.
That's very true, because I think this is the most negative I think I've ever been in my life. I am usually a relentless optimist. It's a fact about me, but that is being crumbled in this. And it is, you're right, it's not just a change in the seasons. We have to accept we're in exceptional circumstances here, and those will eventually be gone. So by the time we're here next year, we won't have COVID. We'll all be able to go out, go to nightclubs, do stand-up comedy, pursue careers and things that we want to actually do.
Yeah.
And everything will just be a bit better.
Yeah, but it's not...
Don't say yeah, but... We were trying to do the positive ending.
The way to really smack it home with a good positive is you lay it with a negative and then you do a positive, because otherwise.
So what was that? We've just laid that with a massive group of negatives.
I mean, it's like the key thing is it's hard. It's not like. But my point is, when COVID goes, doesn't mean your problem's going to go. It's not like when this shit clears up. It's not like when. If we find a vaccine for COVID, you're going to get a job. It's still, you know what I mean? It's not like the flowers grow back and but it's still, to a certain extent, you have to believe it's in your control. So before this episode, are you ready? You all good?
Yeah.
You all screwed in?
All screwed in.
Before we shot this episode, a friend of the show, Sam Ely, sent me a message saying that he's recently done an empathy test, which is like these kind of questionnaires, which are like 60 questions with like agree, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, on like 60 varying questions. And he was terrified because he did it with a group of like 15 people, and he came out with the lowest empathy score, and was very worried about that. So then I thought it would be interesting if me and Andrew did an empathy test, which is actually this is actually about, not just about empathy, it's about whether you have autism or Asperger's syndrome, which I didn't really realise going into it. So we firstly did a questionnaire on what we thought ourselves were, and then we did a second round where we did it all over again, what we viewed the other as.
Answering the questions as if we were the other person.
As if we were the other person.
So how do you want to reveal? Because we don't know each other's scores.
We don't know each other's scores yet.
So how do you want to? Do you want to do? Should we do what we got for ourselves?
So it's out of 80. It's out of 80.
And the only information it gives you about your score is that scores of 30 or less indicate a lack of empathy common in people with autism or Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah. I'm going to put a link to the test in the bio so you can
comment your answers.
Comment
your results.
Because I'd love to know how autistic our fan base is.
Oh, yeah. I think the results are pretty shocking.
There's going to be some pretty shocking results for sure.
So how do you
firstly, I'll just read you like some of the questions so you have like
gist.
So you just have a basic idea of kind of what. I dream most nights. Strongly agree, slightly disagree, etc. I'm my best first thing in the morning. In a conversation, I tend to focus on my own thoughts rather than on what my listener might be thinking.
Do the frog one or whatever it was.
The worm one.
It was like I cut up worms in my childhood to see how it felt.
Yeah.
That was the only.
When I was a child,
question.
I enjoyed cutting up worms to see what would happen. That was the only one.
That really took me by surprise. That one.
So how do you want to reveal these?
Do we want to? We can either do how we scored for ourselves.
Yeah.
Or we focus on one at a time.
Let's focus on one at a time.
Yeah, I think we should do one at a time.
Okay, so do you want to...
Shall I kick us off?
You kick us off with how you rated yourself.
So, from the results of my test, when completing the questionnaire as if I were me, which I am, my score was...
I'm going to be like... It's going to be like... It's going to be close. I'm going to be like Derwent O'Leary, you know, in the X Factor final, when it's like...
Yeah.
Judges, please, I'm going to need your answer soon.
When completing the empathy questionnaire... Is
Andrew autistic?
As if I were filling it out for myself. Out of a possible 80, I scored 49.
Ooh! Okay, that's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
That's pretty solid. That's middling. That's like above. Yeah. That's pretty decent.
And quickly, wait, before this, because we realised after we'd both done it for each other, the problem with these kind of questionnaires is that you're often, instead of putting the real answers, you might subconsciously put the idealised version of yourself into it. So what we'll do is we're gonna do the median, the mode, whatever the fuck, of our scores, and get the true result from what it is. So I take my score and Horatio's score, go in the middle, and then
we'll see what
the actual answer is.
So 30. Below 30 means you're autistic, and he's 49, so he's pretty much...
That's a strong score.
That's a strong score.
Compared to, because you've got a list
You're pretty... Because in conversations, you are pretty...
I'm very empathetic.
You're pretty unautistic in a lot of the ways you speak to people. I think you have a pretty good social awareness. That's pretty fair.
I think I've got very strong social awareness.
That's pretty
very
fair.
Strong.
Not as much as you might think.
Well, there you go.
So should we go to...
Now, so what did you score me?
Do you want to take a guess at what I scored myself?
No, because we'll do me. Do we say we focus on one? Do you want to give your score for me now?
No, I want to do mine first before we get
to it. Cool.
So this is what I scored myself.
Let me not take a guess, because bearing in mind I've got a score that I got for you, so that would be my guess.
Okay.
Right. No, you can't do it and speak.
And I scored on the autism test 34.
I have a possible 80. 34. Crikey,
so
okay.
Just scraped in.
Which is actually, I think if we're being fair, I think that's bang on.
I think that's pretty good.
I've always called you autistic. I've flirted with the idea, but you're not.
I'm really emotionally intelligent in some ways. I'm really I have a really and I feel part of how I feel about autistic is I feel I notice things about other people emotionally that normal people, and I'm like, how can, like, I'll see someone's clearly getting upset with something and no one else will notice, but then I will do something and it will upset someone and everyone will notice except me. So it's really weird that sometimes I'll have like waves of like intense empathy where I can clearly see how something's affected someone and no one having any idea. And then I'll have moments where someone explained to me how being insensitive to someone, and it will make sense, but I would have no concept of it.
You'd never properly understand it.
Concept. So it's a really weird
But then
thing.
also part of that is that the view that you get from the knowledge, thinking that you know, which I think you are good at 100%, but then you can't get away from that view. That is only ever the case. And no matter how you can have a conversation with that person about this is what they feel, and you'd be like, nah, you feel like that. That's you.
Yeah.
So
I think it's more,
that's why you're not autistic, you're just a bit.
I
you're
do.
a bit.
I'm a little bit.
A little bit.
Because I'm dyspraxic and that's within the same family.
Right. So do you want to do your score that you got when filling it out for me then?
No.
You don't. Which I feel like it can't be that low. Okay, fine.
The score I gave to Andrew Cohen, unknowingly, filling out as honestly as I could, was 27.
27. So you see me as an autistic person, essentially. 27.
I didn't think it would come out like that. I was thinking it was going to come out like 40s. That would be fair.
High.
And I think maybe when because I was like talking to you while I was doing it, maybe I wasn't fully doing it, and then you saw my result. Maybe I would like lent into some things more than others. I mean, 27 is.
It's pretty low. It's pretty brutal. For someone who's quite empathetic, I'd say. And really not autistic at all. To call me autistic.
It wasn't. I was feeling it honestly. I can only apologise.
Oh, no, it's fine.
The test doesn't lie.
This might be the last podcast we ever do.
27 is...
27?
It's so low. It's so low. So, just how we made the discussion about... what we view and how autistic I am with you, who I think has you slightly lean into me being more autistic for comedic effect, and your view of me having known me for so long, and because we're very comfortable with each other, you see me at my worst means that you have a slightly more bias. We both have a much more bias.
We see each other at our absolute worst.
Yeah, so
100%.
I think
but that's why this averaging works.
It works well
because we're being the most critical people.
27.
It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. But
I would say a sign of true friendship is when you're autistic with each other.
And give yourselves the lowest possible score.
Yeah. I'd just say when you know you're truly close with someone is on the outside together you both look autistic. That's when you're like they've known each other for a long time.
Well, we've got that a lot, to be fair. We've got that a lot. It's impossible to have a conversation with you two.
Because we both
we've heard from 20. This is why we do a podcast, so we can talk to ourselves.
It's a night we're being around us both because we both have situational Asperger's.
Do you want to do yours then? My score for you.
Yeah. What is it?
So, keep going. So, out of a possible 80, I scored a ratio called 14.
Oh my god! 14! See, now I know why you didn't react. Oh my god!
14.
Now I know why you didn't react so badly when I said... Because I was thinking you were going to be shot by 27, but actually massaged your guilt slightly.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's all right. Yeah, but we always...
14!
We always knew it was going to come out.
14!
14! And to be honest...
That's so bad!
To be honest, I think I was being fair as well.
14!
I think I was being fair.
14!
Wait, so how does that average out
14
then?
means literally you can't... Like you had to go to a different
can't
school.
Function, yeah. Because
Jesus.
there's a link at the bottom of the test that says concerned about your score, chat online with a licensed therapist.
I'm concerned about my friend's score of me.
Yeah. So what are the averages? How does that work out?
Okay, let's
you
crunch
work
the
out
numbers
yours
real quick. 14 and 34.
But I think part of that is because when you said
fuck, it's still pretty bleak.
Mine's 38.
Mine's 24. You're still not autistic, but I'm...
Weirdly, I think...
I'm like...
That experiment, in a sense, I feel like that experiment didn't work because I feel your score is very fair for what you graded yourself.
Yeah.
And I think maybe mine is more fair than
maybe
38.
we were very unfair on each other.
So I think the problem is maybe that doesn't work because one was heavily...
So maybe you have a pretty good view of yourself, actually.
Maybe the question is perfect. Maybe everyone knows themselves and you don't need anyone to tell you otherwise.
Cool. Well, that's been the empathy test. I'll put a link below, so if you want to try it, I would love to hear what Pink Croc score is. I'd love to know what Simon KG's score is.
Simon KG's.
I want to see what Simon KG's rocking. I want to see what Carrot Toast is rocking. The B&M Bandit. Oh yeah, another thing.
Take a screenshot of your score and post it, and then what you feel about it.
What is really funny is. It was in Cornwall. It was mine and BB's anniversary, so I posted a picture on Instagram. And because as soon as I'd do that, I'd get like a swathe of her fans going in who are very different to mine.
Sincere.
And it was like seeing the differences in because I got likes from my fans and her fans on this post that was kind of cross two platforms, and it was really funny seeing the names of both of our fans, because all of BB's fans of the general Cave Sister fandom, they're all middle class white girls basically. So they're Amy Matthews, Emily Webster, you know, all these sort of like just Alice Turnbull, maybe with like a love heart, and they're all these kind of generic. Mine are like Trump got tiny pee-pee, the B&M Bandit, you know, fucking Pink Fuzz. You know my swag, not my story was one of it.
That's fucking great. You know my swag, not my story. Fuck yeah.
It was just like, it was so funny. I'd keep getting notifications. Amy Matthews, you know my swag, not my story.
That's great.
Darth Vader's bumhole. Just these sort of these people who seem to exist as like a purely internet entity.
And don't have any real soul or life outside of that. God bless him.
Which is a lot of fun.
God bless him.
But yeah, I think I'd say we come to the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
We covered a lot. Are you feeling comfortable enough to wrap this up?
Yeah, as always.
The key strands of thought was second wave sadness. Second wave sadness. Autism, Marxist idea of species being, and seasonal depression.
There's no way I can put a positive spin on that.
It doesn't matter. It can be bleak, but it's got to have like a, at least melancholy as opposed to just pure sadness.
Oh, okay. It's a pretty dark time for us as individuals and us as a collective in our country. Not made better by our government's refusal to appreciate art as an industry. But sometimes you got to lean on your friends, even if they think that you are medically autistic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks. We've been Boys Gone Wild. See you next week.